Criminals, by definition, do not follow the law. But the assault-style firearms compensation program asks them to surrender their guns. How will this stop organized crime and extortion? And is it worth taxpayers spending hundreds of millions if it mostly affects law-abiding owners?
Well, first up, please, sir.
How many CBSA officers serving on the front line are posted at the Lansdowne and Johnstown ports of entry?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I will be able to get that information from my colleague.
Well, member.
How many net new frontline CBSA officers will be serving at the land borders between Canada and the U.S. as a result of his bill?
Minister.
The investment of $1.3 billion we're making towards the border, we will have 1,000 CBSA and 1,000 new RCMP officers to secure the border.
Hear, hear.
On the same day of his swearing in, Minister Varani said Canadians do not feel unsafe in their communities and that perception of crime is largely in their heads and that an increase in crime is empirically unlikely. Do you agree with that statement?
The Honourable Minister.
I can't speak for former Minister Varani, but I can tell you the police chief for the City of Toronto has indicated that audit thefts are down by 39%, home invasions down by 42%, homicides by 67%, shootings by 46%. I confirmed with them.
Time. The minister promised to tighten bail rules just last week, but why did?
How many firearms does the government believe have been prohibited that will be collected under this confiscation scheme?
Minister.
Anticipation is about 179,000.
The Honourable Member.
Are all of those firearms semi-automatics?
The Honourable Minister.
I don't believe so.
The Honourable Member.
What other types of firearms have been banned that the government will be seizing?
The Honourable Minister.
Those that are scheduled to be bought back will be removed. I can't tell you the specific ones, but they're in the schedule.
The Honourable Member.
Does the minister have an RPAL?
Minister.
Can you repeat that question?
The Honourable Member.
I'll rephrase, Chair. Does the minister know what an RPAL is?
The Honourable Minister.
I do not.
Minister, 600 foreign nationals were set to be deported. 70% of them committed violent crimes, including sex assaults. Where are they?
Thank you, Mr. Caputo. Thank you for that question. As you're aware, the Canada Border Services Agency is tasked with removals of those who are deemed to be
Minister, I'm sorry, we don't need a preamble. We just need an answer. Where are the 600 people who were set to be deported? Maybe I'll ask this way. Do you know where they are? Yes or no?
Mr. Chair, if I may respond to this question in whole. So, as you're aware, the CBSA is tasked with the removal of those who are inadmissible to Canada. In this particular case, we have been ensuring that removals have been taking place at an unprecedented rate.
I asked about the 600 people, Minister. I didn't ask about removals at an unprecedented rate. Do you know where they are? Yes or no?
Well, there is a set of.
I'll take that as a no, Minister. Let's move on.
Let's be clear, Mr. Caputo. There are a number of individuals who are in the process of being removed. So of the 600 you talk about, there is a breakdown, and I'd like to invite Ms. Gorman
You are the
to
minister. You are the expert. The Globe and Mail reported 600 people are missing. You're the minister.
But I wonder, Minister, do you have data on how many people might be eligible to leave the border service with this new pension threshold adjustment that you're making? And if you're going to train the 1,000, do you have the capacity in your training systems to make up for any shortfall that the early retirement might lead to?
The 25-year retirement, early retirement option, we have done some initial review. I can provide a deeper dive into it at a later point, David. I don't have that information offhand.
Mr. Speaker, a so-called safe injection site backed by this Liberal government became the scene of a broad daylight drug shootout. A mother walking by was killed, yet the staff member at the site who helped the shooters escape, shockingly, won't serve a single day behind bars. Wow. This wasn't about harm reduction. It was chaos, violence, and death in a residential neighborhood. Will this Liberal government finally accept responsibility for these sites becoming crime magnets and ending the dangerous policies putting Canadians at risk?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The drug crisis across Canada and North America has impacted many communities, and there isn't a community that we represent that hasn't gone through challenges. With respect to the matter in question, Mr. Speaker, it is something that was made by an independent adjudicator, and I won't be able to comment on that.
Does the minister know what safety classes and safety demands are expected of law-abiding Canadian gun owners?
The Honourable Minister.
This is not about law-abiding gun owners, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member.
How can the minister make that claim when he doesn't know the basic fundamentals of law-abiding gun ownership in this country, Chair?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Bill 21 is meant to get serious, dangerous weapons off our streets.
The Honourable Member, very briefly, and just confirming that he's splitting his time 3 ways.
Chair, will the minister commit to taking the Canadian Firearm Safety course so he'll know what he's talking about?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I do not intend to purchase a firearm or use a firearm. Mr. Speaker, we will be hiring 1,000 RCMP, as was 1,000 CBSA officers. We are trying to recruit the best and the brightest, and we will be training them with the adequate resources to be able to serve in this modern environment, and we will be deploying them across Canada.
Unfortunately, it sounds like the answer is no. Please read the mass casualty report.
Minister.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member, Minister of Transport, will she commit to bringing back Bill C-33 on rail safety and ports that was at report stage when it died on the order paper?
Minister.
I will commit to having a great conversation with the member opposite about that issue.
All right, Harrison Faulkner here. I am reporting in Prince Edward Island in rural eastern PEI, uncovering a story of the most improbable nature. Set in PEI, involving the Chinese Communist Party, a Chinese-born cult leader, and Buddhist monks. Take a look at this building behind me. This is in the middle of rural eastern PEI. The organization that oversees this building is called Bliss and Wisdom, a Buddhist cult, not recognized by the Dalai Lama. If you think that is strange, which by the way houses hundreds of monks, take a look at what they're building across the street. A vast, sprawling campus which will allegedly house 1,400 Buddhist monks here in rural eastern PEI. They don't just own this property, or the one across the street. People connected with this Bliss and Wisdom Buddhist cult allegedly own over 6,000 acres in rural eastern PEI. They own the land to the right and to the left. They own farmland. They own properties. There are empty homes scattered throughout the rural towns here near these Buddhist monasteries. A recent book was published called Canada Under Siege, and it alleges that PEI has become a forward operating base for the Chinese Communist Party. And the organizations that operate in buildings like this behind me are at the center of those allegations. So this is by far the craziest story I've ever reported on. It's remarkable what I'm even looking at here. It's hard to believe it's real, but it is. And stay tuned for any updates you might see from my reporting here in PEI. This is the wildest story.
So the interest of Stellantis comes first before the Canadian public. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that at all, actually. I'm actually saying that, Stellantis has shown an openness to sharing more information with this committee than would be publicly available to make sure that there is a full discussion and scrutiny on the contract.
Well, we talked about parliamentary privilege earlier at this meeting. We know that these compelling disclosure of this document is exempt from an unredacted state is exempt from the confidentiality provision in the agreement. So clearly these redactions are done voluntarily between department officials. Is that right?
Well, under the terms of the agreement, Canada must discuss, in this case, our department, ISED, has to discuss with Stellantis any disclosure of documents and what redactions they feel they have. Otherwise, we're breaking the contract, which requires us to treat information confidentially unless the company is willing to share it.
So you mentioned, so what is so commercially sensitive about these documents? I mean, the clauses. We're not talking about spreadsheets with names of employees and all that. We're just talking about clauses in the overarching agreement. So I just fail to see what's so commercially sensitive about this. Like, it's not industrial designs or schematics and trade secrets that we're disclosing. It's just the text of an agreement. So it's just the most basic outline of the relationship between the government and this multi-billion-dollar company. And don't you think that taxpayers should have some closure in seeing what's in this document?
Yeah. I could answer that question, but I'd say the best authority to talk about the justification of what is commercially confidential proposed and the redactions proposed would actually be Stellantis. That's who we consulted under the terms of the agreement that we signed, is for them to identify for us what they felt was commercially confidential. So I think that would be the best to ask Stellantis that question.
Oh, yeah.
You allowed exemptions for the consumer carbon tax in Atlantic Canada, in spite of the fact that you'd always said if the carbon tax was repealed, you would resign. When Mark Carney became Prime Minister earlier this year, he scrapped the consumer carbon tax entirely, and still you stayed in cabinet. Why then and not now?
You know, in politics, you have to make compromise. That's a given. In a country of 40 million people, you won't win all of your battles.
But why were those compromises okay and this one wasn't?
Well, I mean, there's a difference between making an exception for home heating oil and scrapping our entire climate plan. Like, there's a world of difference. We still had consumer carbon pricing when we did that. It weakened it, true, but we still had consumer carbon pricing. When Prime Minister Carney eliminated the consumer carbon pricing, we said at the time that we would strengthen industrial pricing to make up for the loss.